Hey there, this is Stormy from the Bountiful Valley Flower Farm. I'm going to be showing you today how to build your own custom DIY gopher baskets. If you are watching this video, I am so sorry because that probably means that you have either moles, voles, or gophers that are plaguing your garden, and you probably feel some desperation on how to protect your plants. We have definitely gone through some devastation here on our property as it backs up to a regional park over on this side. There's just a lot of green space, a lot of critters, particularly gophers, that like to plague our garden and take our hard-earned efforts of plants and pull them underground, and it always seems to happen just as the plants are thriving, which is just even more devastating. And I guess in some ways that makes a lot of sense because as the plant is starting to thrive, their root ball is getting larger and has more carbohydrates to feed underground vermin, and hence making them more attractive to underground vermin at that stage. So when you are building these baskets, one thing to keep in mind is you can customize the size. I'm going to show you how to do that, but you don't need to protect all of the roots. You just need to protect the root ball, and that is the part that is directly under the plant. The parts of the roots with the thickest stems, that is the most nutritional part of the plant, but the more longer leader roots will seep outside of these gopher wire baskets, and that's okay. You just want to protect that root ball. Here on our little micro farm in the Bay Area, we line all of our vegetable and flower beds with this hardware cloth, and for more individual plants like fruit trees or shrubs, perennials, or just individual plants, we build these gopher wire baskets. As you can see here, this is a row of perennials that I've planted that I know gophers love to eat. So I planted these perennials in the gopher wire baskets here. I also leave a few inches above the soil line so gophers or moles, voles will jump in as easily, which that has happened to us before. So adding some clearance above the soil line is a strategic move, one I highly recommend. And as the plant gets larger and more mature, it will cover the gopher wire basket. One thing to note that I also mentioned in the build video is when you are cutting the hardware cloth to be mindful of the jagged cut edges should go at the bottom of the basket, and the more smoother factory edges should go at the top. Therefore, when you're walking around the plants, or if you have animals or small children, you are not exposing jagged wire at the top of your soil line. Last thing to note on the behavior of these animals, they are territorial. So if you eradicate them, their home underground becomes vacant, but a new family will move in. So the most effective way that we have found to protect our plants is using these gopher wire baskets, and because it is galvanized steel, it will last for decades underground, giving you optimal protection for an extended period of time. All right, with all of that said, let's go make some gopher wire baskets. Couple things to consider in terms of gear. So having good gloves, because this stuff is sharp once it is cut. If you don't have access to hog ring pliers like I do here, using just standard zip ties will work. And then having a mechanism to cut the wire. So here we have metal sheet scissors. I'm using some scrap pieces from a roll of hardware cloth that we had lying around, but you can find a roll online or at your local landscaping store. They come in many different sizes and lengths. I'll drop the link below to the exact one that we use here on the property. Next, bring the two sides of the panel together to form a cylinder, securing with either the hog rings or zip ties. Place the smooth side of the panel facing down, as that will become the top of the basket, which will be exposed above the ground as we talked about earlier. We are now going to be forming the bottom of the basket. So taking your aviation snips, you're going to make 4 cuts down the bottom of the basket, spacing the cuts equal distance apart from each other. You will want to use good judgment here on how far down to actually make the cuts, as you'll want to make sure that the basket will comfortably fit the plant, as well as having those few extra inches of wire exposed above the soil line. And you will then fold the metal flaps to create the base of the basket, securing with either hog rings or zip ties, which I personally find is the easiest option for this step. And for larger baskets, you'll cut the panel accordingly and follow the exact same steps. I genuinely hope this video brings some help and sanity back to your life in terms of protecting your hard-earned efforts in your garden. And if you're interested in growing with us, please do like and subscribe as we're building this channel out. May your garden be beautiful and bountiful.